All right, this is Josh Poet, First Contact Radio. I am here with Paul Wesley, a.k.a. Prince Truth Chaser, and Paul has a lot of information on a lot of subjects. Today we're going to talk about UFOs and maybe a few other things. So best way to get started is for Paul to tell you who he is in his own words. So, Paul, welcome to the show, and maybe you could share with the audience right off the bat who you are and what it is you do.
Well, first off, thanks for having me on the show, and
You're welcome.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure being here. Yeah, I'm an activist. I would guess you would say lover of the people. I mean, I really, I love the people, and I would say that I'm a firm believer in self-empowerment, and that love is key. And I kind of mix that into my activism, and I also kind of mix that into when I try to educate people about awareness as far as UFOs is concerned, and awareness as far as like the alien agenda is concerned, and the hybrid agenda.
Okay. I've watched a number of your videos, and the whole love aspect is very awesome, the way in which you share that and you give people hugs and really, spread that love out in the world. That's what we need, and it's great to see that.
Yeah, and I think that's key, because whether it's activism or whether it's educating people that have been abducted, or educating people that have actually seen, UFOs or other, beings, that, the love vibration is the highest vibration in the universe, and that no matter what happens in the world, no matter what, negative things are going on in the world, that love is key. And I think that it's important to show that. It's important to show human contact, and and embrace each other in that love vibrational state. Because
right.
Whether any that we give, the truth is that it all starts with love.
Right. So let's go back to the beginning with the UFOs, and when did you first become interested in UFOs, and where did it go from there?
Well, when I first I would say when I was a kid, I was about, say, 6 years old, and abducted myself, and
okay.
and I have been abducted throughout my life, and it pretty much came to the point where I learned through love, self-empowerment, how to break that cycle and say that my life is being taken, and it's not going to be taken anymore. And I think that through understanding that self-empowerment is key was a big plus for me. And I think it's crucial to anyone who gets abducted.
Now, what was your experience like? When did that happen? Can you tell us about that?
Sure. I remember times when, it's pretty much classic with a lot of people who are abducted and taken. You're in your bed and you're awoken, and sometimes people have sweats where they're real sweaty and nervous, but you just know that something's in that room with you. And that's pretty much what happened to me. And you see these creatures. Some are 7-foot-tall grays, and some are the lower ones, the worker grays. And you're pretty much lose control over your body. I think they have some kind of neurological device that they use on us, so that way we really can't control the situation. And I was at a young age, I was taken, and pretty much different scenarios from there on.
And when you experienced them in the room, what was the initial feeling that you remember having?
At a young age, I would say fear. The fear. I mean, this is human instinct, is the fear what you don't understand. And my first instinct would definitely be one of fear.
And then throughout your lifetime, has that changed as there's been more experiences that have gone on?
It really has. As I got a little bit older, into my teens, I would say that fear kind of... There was one experience when I was taken, and I was purposely put in front of one of the toll edits. And I was told to touch it. And I walked over, and I started rubbing its skin. And it was like telepathically I was told to let go of fear. And when I did that, it was probably the most amazing thing that I've ever felt, because I was actually interacting with these beings without being scared, without being scared half to death. And as I got older, I kind of really started researching, and research is key, you know. And I want to make this clear to the viewers that I can say whatever I want on here, and anyone else can say whatever they want. But, you know, take it with a grain of salt what I say, and go out and let's do our own homework and educate ourselves and come up with our own ideas on what we think is truth, depending on what anyone else would say is truth. But as I got older, you know, that fear went away. And then when I started researching, you know, first off, what do these beings want? Where did they come from? And I looked at history, and I kind of took it from there. And I just self-empowered myself. This is my choice whether I want to be taken. This is everyone's choice if they want to be taken. And it should be that way. Has free will been taken? Yes. But it's entirely up to us to whether, you know, we agree on being taken or not.
And are you still having these experiences to this day?
I do have experience with extraterrestrial beings, but they're of positive extraterrestrial beings. These things are of low vibration. You know, they're about, I would say, standing about 9 feet tall, of a feline race. And some of them may call them Illyrians. You know, some people talk about the Pleiadians. So I know I'm no longer in contact with the Grey Zeta whatsoever.
Okay. When did it change?
It changed for me, I would say, about 3 years ago, because the abductions pretty much started getting more and more intense, more frequently. And I wasn't sure exactly why that was happening so frequently. Maybe it was because, like, people talk about the Great Awakening. A lot of, you know, white workers say humanity's under this Great Awakening. The planet's going to, you know, shift from a third dimensional state to a fourth and fifth dimensional state. And our consciousness is going to shift at this time. And in the fifth dimensional state, people have to understand that it's all love vibration. And I think if anything under 4D is negative, I think. Right, you know, that's why I encourage everyone to do their own research and find out for yourselves. But that's when it stopped. It stopped about, I would say, 3 years ago. And I think the reason that it stopped, and the reason that, well, not that it stopped, but that it was occurring more often, because these beings knew that I was waking up. And when you wake up and you have low vibration in your heart, you know, you have the choice to self-empower yourself and say, hey, look, I don't want it anymore. And that's what I did, because I kind of looked at it as I was being taken, whatever the purpose was for. Maybe they're taking me for a positive reason. I've heard, you know, rumors that they're a dying race and that, you know, they need our DNA. That being the case, I mean, some people may say, hey, well, we're helping them, but it's you know, I never signed up for this, you know. So, and a lot of other people have had negative experiences with these things, where, you know, they were putting stuff over their face, you know, over their eyes, and doing procedures on them that they didn't sign up for.
And did you find that from the first time as a child when you had this experience to up to 3 years ago that your relationship and experiences with them changed?
It has. I mean, it's a little bit. I mean, I think that it was pretty much their agenda in my mind was to basically, you know, harness my DNA. I mean, I think that's what it is. They're building a hybrid race because their race is dying. This is what I'm getting, and it kind of seems like it was the same thing over and over again, which usually happens with other abductees. That it is the same thing. I mean, some people have seen when they've been abducted that the women, their eggs have been taken, and they've been reabducted, and they're shown these hybrid children. So it kind of seems to be pointing to where, you know, they have a hybrid program. You know, so it's changed a little, and I think that in my opinion, what I believe is that even though it's changed, it's my decision, and it was my decision to stop it, because there's a lot of scared people out there that don't understand what's going on. They don't understand why they're being abducted, and they probably want to know, how can we stop this?
So have you, when you were having these experiences, do you recall then being on a ship, someplace other than being on Earth?
You know, memories come in and out, fade in and out. I recall myself being on a craft. I recall myself floating in the air and being taken to a craft, but being actually like on another planet or anything, I don't recall that.
Do you recall like experiences where there were others around, maybe other people that had
I
been
do,
going?
yes, I do. I've actually seen others, humanoids, yes, but with the Greys on tables. They would be either laid out on tables, or some of them would just stand there and observe. I mean, that could be joint operation with the military, or it could be joint operation with hybrids.
Have you ever met anybody then in life that was going through a similar experience to you that you recognized during one of these experiences, and then at some point in life you ran into somebody and you recognized them? You ever have one of those type of experiences?
I've never had that type of experience, but I have seen hybrids.
Okay.
Human gray / hybrids. I have seen that. I think it's because, once you open your third eye, your pineal gland, and you raise your vibration to that low level light, I think because of the experiences that I've had from being an abductee, that it kind of opens and heightens my senses to where I can actually pinpoint who is and who isn't a hybrid.
Okay. So we'll change gears in a moment to the other experiences, but just to kind of summarize, what would you say then that range of experiences you had with those abductions that you came away with? What did you learn from those, if anything?
Well, with the abductions that I've had, I would say there's two major experiences and things that I've learned. One is that free will is being taken. That is without a doubt 100% fact. Some people say that, before you're born, your soul contract and you've actually agreed to it. I don't believe in that, because we are love conscious beings, and if you're one is that our free will is being taken. The other that I've found is that love is key, and that basically not all these beings are negative, but it's kind of like a 50-50 split, I would say. 50% are negative and have their own agenda, and some of them aren't. So, and when I first started researching and empowering myself on what was going on, I was very angry at the time. Mm-hmm. And that's when I was into activism and, want to really make a difference in the world and show people that they can empower themselves and change the world. But I was very angry because when you first find out that there's these, not only the Greys, but the reptilians, the Draconians that live in Hollow Earth and, comes from the Draconian system or Draco system, when you find out that the Greys are being controlled by them and working with them, you get very angry. But I kind of went through a phase in my life where it went from anger and hate to love. So I think the most powerful thing for me was like transitioning from hate to love. But there's definitely two agendas.
Okay. So let's switch gears then, because you said 3 years ago things changed and now your experiences are different. They're more of a positive. Tell me about some of those. Well,
the last time that I was visited by these beings, and I basically learned to self-empower myself and say, no, I don't want it anymore. I don't want any part of it. I don't know how I can say this. I had two large feline-looking beings, I guess, like I said, from Lyrians. And they were about 9 feet tall. One was dark, like a darkish white, and the other one was pure white. And they came in front of me, and as soon as they went on each side of me, they just showed themselves and appeared, and these Greys just disappeared, completely vanished. And at that point, I felt the most amazing sensation of love vibrations I've ever felt. And then after that had happened, I had a dream, and one of these large, Lyrians, feline race beings, were taking me to somebody, and I was like, where am I going? Like, and then when I was shown to a third one, and all of a sudden I just started crying because of the overwhelming love vibration. And I think it kind of was where once I learned that love is key and self-empowerment is vital, that these positive beings come to you. You see, when we have love vibration, when we have positive awareness, positive people come into our lives, and positive beings come into our lives. And it's probably one of the most powerful experiences I've ever had.
Awesome. And are these experiences now they're continuing to happen with these different beings?
Not so much, because I really don't want it to happen. I kind of feel like that a lot of people would say, well, if you're having these contacts if you have these contacts with these beautiful, powerful beings of love, why wouldn't you want them to help you? And I kind of feel that I don't want it. I want to, stand on my own 2 feet and live my life positive and make change and be the change that you want to see in life. I kind of feel that if I have some kind of outside interference, some kind of outside help, that it's not 100% me. And I want the change that I try to bring in the world to be 100% me. I don't mind a little help as far as, like, God forbid, if negative beings tried to come at me. Now, if they want to step in, feel free. But in my mind, in my conscience, in my being, I just made it clear that I don't want any help as far as what I do now with activism, with shedding, love and light, or maybe like helping other adoptees cope with the situation that they've, had.
Okay. And do you work with other abductees then? And how do you do that?
I haven't really started anything with it yet, but it's something that's definitely in the works. I've talked to people that have been abducted, and we swap experiences, and you kind of lean on each other, and it's good. It's good to talk to each other and kind of share experiences and get it out there, and let the load off your shoulders. Because if you try to talk to most people about abductions or anything like that, they're automatically, you're crazy. So, and that's just the conscience level on people who don't know, and that's when I kick back kind of to what we were talking about earlier, that people automatically fear what they don't understand.
Right. And what about these from Lyrians? You said you met a feline race from Lyra.
Right.
Is that correct?
Lyra. Right.
Lyra.
Right.
And what were they like?
Yeah, they were 100% love vibration. And I think that pretty much sums it up right there. You get this strong presence of love. And if you go back to the stories of the galactic wars that have been had, kind of straight out of a Star Wars type of scenario, where you have the dark side and the light side, and these draconian reptilian beings fought them, and they fought back. And I think that's kind of source energy. It's love and light, and also darkness. And I think that's where a lot of people tend to fall short on their beliefs. Not that I'm judging on people's beliefs, but I think that people only say, oh, well, love, but without, you have to have the both. You have to have the negative and the positive. You just can't have 100% both. And the feline race, from what I understand, seeded humanity. They had a huge hand in seeding humanity. But take a perfect example would be the Sphinx. It's the feline, right? That's one right there. If we go back to Babylonian times, the Sumerian tablets, if we really look at even the Egyptians, who they were given cats by the gods to watch over them. If you hurt a cat, if you did anything to a cat, it was considered a serious offense, probably death. But if you look on Mars, the pictures now that we're starting to see at Mars, you can see the face of a cat on Mars. It's a feline face, and it's amazing because obviously these beings of these powerful beings of love and light had a huge part. But I think somewhere along the line, negative beings stepped in, and
What would you say that your experience then with the beings from Lyra has taught you?
It's taught me compassion. It's taught me a lot about myself as far as understanding and not being judgmental when you see something. And I'll take a perfect example would be hybrids. These so-called gray hybrids, other beings who aren't gray hybrids who, are on this planet. I think just 52 or 57 different extraterrestrial races that interact with humans. And I think it's taught me, look with love. If you look with love, everything will be shown to you. If you look like, okay, well, you're just this dirty alien who's on my planet, then nothing's going to be shown to you. And nothing but that, whatever we give, we get back. So, do you want the truth? You ever hear that saying, do you want the truth? And then go, oh, you can't handle the truth. And that's the truth. People cannot, it depends on what vibrational level we're on consciously. It's consciously as individuals, what vibration level we're on. What do you want to see? Like, what do you want your reality to be? I've ran across many a hybrids that they just smile. It's the most beautiful thing. Because think of it this way: if you're a hybrid, right, and no one knows who you are, obviously, because you look just like us, and we perceive things through our eyes via light. So there's only so much that we can see. So in this illusional world that we live in, you look just like me and you. But if you run across me and you feel my energy, it's all about telepathically. You can look me in the eyes and say, wow, this guy, he knows. And he's of love and light. And I think that's where the smiles come from. And because it's like, wow, it's pretty cool. Because if I was a hybrid, God forbid, or if I was an extraterrestrial race that was on planet Earth, and it would be good to know that someone knew who you were. Because it's kind of like you're not hiding who you are, obviously, because you can't see them. But if there's a shot where someone can see you and they're a positive person, then it's awesome.
Right. So what would be like a process for those who are listening that have been through these type of experiences, and you say to look through love, what would be a process that might help somebody to really kind of get into that mindset who's having challenges doing that?
I would say that it would be, what do you want? What do you want to will into your existence? Do you want to will into your existence fear, or do you want to will into existence, into your existence, self-empowerment and love? And it all comes down to a choice. See, we all have a choice. And yes, it's scary. It's scary being taken. And it kind of seems like no matter where you go, no matter what you do, you can't stop it. But that's far from the truth. It comes down to basically, you guys that are listening, to saying, I don't want it anymore. Do you want to feel, unless you're comfortable with it, and it's kind of like, well, I think the grays are positive, and I think the zetas are positive, and I don't mind. But to the people that do mind and that want to say no, just say no. And say no with love. Know that you are a being of infinite love, and that you have the power. Like, you have the power to do whatever you want. You have the power to say no. And as soon as you empower yourself with love and realize that you're an amazing person, you can stop it. It's really that easy. And a lot of people are going to say, oh, well, it's not that easy. It was for me. Because it really just came down to a choice where I just realized that they want something from me that they don't have. So who really has the power, them or me? And I said no.
Right.
And I said no. And the scary thing is that, there is an agenda to recycle humanity. But also, there's positive beings here. See, there's negative and positive. If you look at the GMOs that are in our food, if you look at the chemtrails that are being sprayed, and I'm actually holding an event in Philadelphia on chemtrails the 1st of June.
Okay.
Right, so it's hopefully this is going to be worldwide, and it's going to be really great getting out there and getting rid of these chemtrails. But, why are all these things happening? Think about it. Why are we being poisoned? Why are these vaccines getting to us? Why are our Second Amendment rights going to be taken? Because that's what the government's trying to do. And it kind of seems like we're being slow-killed. And the question, even with the fluoride in the water, is why? Are we being recycled? I mean, the government has made a treaty with these aliens and said, well, you can take a couple, herd of cattle and drop them and take their DNA and do whatever you want. But let's say that these negative beings have overtaken our government. It's possible. And if that's the case, well, what do you do when you have your army of hybrids? What do? You get rid of the ones that are on the planet. Not trying to kick this with a negative twist, because I believe in self-empowerment and love vibration. But I do believe that there is a hybrid program that is in effect. I've actually spoken to someone who is really big in the whole Zetas and everything, and I asked her, I said, love is key, and she said yes. I said, I want to ask you honestly, is humanity being recycled? And she said yes, but it's a good thing. And I'll tell you what, poet, I kind of got offended when she said that, because I'm like, well, how is that a good thing? Like, it's a good thing for them. And she goes, well, if you look through history, humanity has been recycled. And I said, well, fine, you have a point. I said, but what do you want to will in existence? And in my existence, I have two choices here. I can sit back and do nothing, or I can fight and I can resist. That way, through my soul experience, I can say when I pass away that I tried. And I tried with love vibration.
All right, so you've had these experiences, both with the negative experiences, but then with the positive experiences. And there's undoubtedly many others who've had the same type of experiences, but maybe haven't had the ability, for whatever reason, to put together like maybe you have. So what would you say to them on what all of this kind of means and you've learned from all of this, both the positive and the negative, and where it's going from here?
Well, I kind of feel that through abduction, that A, free will is being taken, and B, we do have a choice. Now, whether or not it's to recycle humanity or whether it's a good thing, it really isn't the question. What we really need to do as individuals who have been abducted is come down into reality that it's an individual choice on what we want to do and what we want to happen to us. You know, and basically live our life the best that we can, because there's a lot of craziness going on in the world. It seems like it's endless and endless and endless negative vibration going on, but I believe in one conscience, a mind of one, and I think if that enough of us think positive and say, you know, we do want to, you know, have the facts on UFOs, and we do want the truth to come out. We do want our government to step up and say, okay, we've made a mistake. We've pretty much sold you all down the river for technology. Oh, you know, if enough of us want that with love vibrational thought, we can get it. So as far as what can we do on an individual level to comfort ourselves as far as being abducted is concerned, just think positive and empower ourselves and stay strong. Really not much else we can do.
Okay. And have you then learned through these experiences where we are headed?
Oh, that's a really good question. That's an excellent question. Wow. I think that where we're headed, again, is where do we want to be headed? You know, it's if enough of us consciously really put love vibration in our hearts and in our minds to make change with the Monsanto or the chemtrails or the fluoride or the abductions. If enough of us speak up, there's still some saving grace. You know, are we headed to cataclysmic end? It's possible. And that's the way things look. But if that's only going to happen if we sit back and we think that we're powerless. And the Illuminati, the elite, the reptilians, the New World Order, people say, oh, you know, the New World Order. The New World Order and the reptilian agenda are all the same. It's the same. The underground bases, Hollow Earth, hybrid agenda, it's all the same. But cataclysmic end for humanity as a whole it's looking like it's going that way. But the way I see it is we educate each other and we speak up as a whole, we can change it. Mm-hmm. And but we have to change it with love vibration. We can't just go out in the street with guns blazing and say we're taking everything back. Because if you come at it like that, throughout history we've seen any uprising that was negative. All you do is knock down a regime and another one comes again. If we all just say, you know what, I haven't had enough. I quit my job. If everyone quit their job right now, didn't go to work, closed their bank accounts, sat at home, and just said, I'm not taking it anymore, the system would crash. The empire would crumble.
Right.
But it has to be done with love vibration. So cataclysmic end does seem like that's where we're going right now. But in my mind, in my efforts, and what I want to see is a love revolution. I want to see a change with love vibration and resistance. Now, who knows? Maybe, like how me and you were talking, and when I get out there and I preach the truth to everyone, maybe in my reality, I'll have that reality, and in like someone else's reality, they may have a different reality. Because if this planet is shifting to a different dimensional shift, a higher vibrational shift, those who think negative may be recycled, as I said, stuck in a third dimensional state, and maybe us that have low vibration get to ascend and do our thing in a low vibrational planet. It's possible. I mean, I believe that when you pass away, that you basically this is an experience for the soul. So whatever you bring to the table in this experience of our soul depends on where you go, but. It's a crazy ride, this life is, but enjoy it.
Are you familiar with the work of Dolores Cannon?
I'm not familiar with the work of Dolores Cannon, no.
Dolores, she's a regression therapist, and through her regression, she's had a number of different experiences with beings, and speaking through clients. One of them was Nostradamus,
Right.
and she wrote a whole series of a book about Nostradamus and what he had talked about. There was channelings came through from Jesus. There was extraterrestrial, and she talks now about how we are going through this transition where the Earth has actually been pulling apart dimensionally, and
Right.
there's that part that's going fifth dimensional, and those who are in the love vibration are going to continue to move along with that. But those who are still stuck in that fear vibration will
Right.
just continue to stay where all the things are falling apart. And it sounds very much like what you're just describing,
Mm-hmm.
that experience that's taking place of the pulling apart and the separating, like Jesus said, the wheat from the chaff,
Right.
pulling apart.
And the beautiful thing is that I've never heard of her work, but yet through my experience and the vibration that I'm in, that makes 100% sense, because it's where do you want what do you want your reality to be? And I think that these Illuminati and these negative beings, these negative reptilians, that they know this, and they want to keep as many people on a low vibrational state via fear, chaos, and everything, because this is their prison, the third dimensional prison. This is where they control. We are their prisoners, but when, we can have our prison break if we want to will into existence that low vibration, and that makes it sounds beautiful, doesn't it?
It absolutely does.
It does, and that's what I want. I want to take as many people with me as I can.
Right on. Do you ever feel like we're living in the movie They Live?
I not really, but it's. Do you feel that way?
Sometimes it, with the idea of the reptilians and the Greys, all around, it just kind of seems like there's at least that mindset that, people are willing to compromise their ideals and integrity, even if it means going against humanity. And that doesn't make sense.
Right.
Like with the chemtrails and the GMOs and it just makes no sense why people would turn their backs on the very things that keep them alive. How do people not understand that poisoning the three things we need, food, water, and air, isn't going to affect us, and how they could just so casually accept that, I don't know. So something seems very strange and
right
and off.
Well, I think it is that people may take the Illuminati as they're just this gang of corrupt individuals, when they're really not. They're very bright, they're very intelligent, and they know a lot about what's happening with the planet, and they know a lot about your third eye, your pineal gland, your human consciousness. So I think, in a way, that people can say, "Oh my God, like how can they turn their back on humanity?" Well, what if they have the key to reality, which is that we're all, beings where we just don't die. Like, okay, you die, but again, depending on how you live your life, you awaken to that type of reality. Or maybe you're given a choice to come back and fight again, and bring as many up to a higher vibrational level as you can. So maybe they know this. Maybe they kind of feel like, who really knows? I mean, do they know that by poisoning us that we really don't die, that maybe we ourselves are recycled and come back? Or are they just full of greed, hate, and overcome with negativity in themselves and lustful of themselves? I mean, who knows? It's the big why question. Why would you do that?
Right. Have you ever heard the idea and the theory that, well, obviously, you've talked about the Greys and the harvesting the DNA,
Mm-hmm.
that in making a variety of hybrids and beings, that part of the purpose was, as we go through this shift we're going through dimensionally,
Mm-hmm.
there's going to be a lot of souls who, for whatever reason, aren't going to make the shifts. And in that bouncing back and forth from one dimension to the other, trying to stabilize, that they would actually ensnare those souls and to put them in the bodies that they created.
Wow.
You ever hear that? Does that make sense or anything?
What do you mean by they would snag the bodies and put them in their own?
I believe that when a being is created, a body is created,
Mm-hmm.
that vehicle has the full opportunity to access everything to help it evolve, unless, of course, the information is blocked so it cannot evolve. And I think our stories have talked about suppression like that. And so the stories I used to hear when going, through various ufologists was about these hybrid race that was being created,
Mm-hmm.
and the harvesting of the DNA,
Mm-hmm.
and that the bodies that they had created were just needing to have that spirit, that soul, and that when we go through a real heavy dimensional shift, there's going to be a lot of souls that are thrown out of bodies.
And you think that they're just basically going to take these souls?
That's one of the theories that I had heard. I don't know the reality of that, but it is certainly something that I've heard for a long while through different ufology groups and so on. I don't know the reality, but I've heard plenty of stories of the DNA, and the collecting of that. There's some purpose behind it.
Right.
And
I would have to say that just as there's negative beings that are against us, that there's also positive beings that can intervene and can help out. So, again, I think that's where I want to focus and shift my thought to a love vibration, because when these people that are lost souls, they cross over, and these hybrids want to jump and take over. Hopefully positive beings can step in and help. If not, that's that's just the sad part that it's going to happen that way. And that's where you have the good with the bad, I guess you'd say. But it's a battle. And even in biblical terms, what they always said, it's the war for your soul. It's the spiritual war. Because really, it's a spiritual war, and it's mind control via TV, via education, when we're from the cradle to the grave. It's one big pot of mind control, and it's they always say get on your knees and pray, get on your knees and pray. But I say get off your knees and empower yourself. Love source energy. I'm not saying that people's religion is their own religion. I don't knock that, but I'm just really stuck in self-empowerment. So, but it is definitely it's definitely a spiritual war that we're going through right now.
The spiritual war absolutely is, definitely, it's talked about in so many of our ancient texts, mm-hmm. that it's hard to really ignore that that's what's going on. And then with your experiences of both the negative and then the positive, you had a firsthand opportunity to see that.
And I feel blessed. I really do, that I was given the opportunity to even be talking on this show right now, because there's so many people out there that don't even know about the spiritual war that is going on right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel really blessed that I'm given the chance to wake up people, that I'm given the chance to educate people, because my theory is this: if you have information and you think, well, I'm just one person and I can't change the world because things are so messed up, then you're going to fail. And I've always believed personally that if I'm one person and I have the knowledge that I have, and I can save 5 people out of 5,000, then I've done my job. Because 5,000 people, or 4,995 people may fall, but those mm-hmm. 5 didn't fall. And how many people can those 5 people wake up?
Right.
And I think that's key, because there's sometimes I look around and I get discouraged, and I'm just like, wow, so many people asleep. But you have to stay on your job. You have to put yourself out there. You have to be a part of the change that you want to see. Because I think the thing, you see people on the internet, and they're bickering and arguing who's right, who's wrong, who's right, who. It doesn't matter. And then you have these people that are asleep and know nothing. I feel sympathy for the people who don't know anything and argue. But I think, or not even argue, but do nothing, because they're asleep, they don't know. But what really really boils my blood, let's just say, that gets under my skin would be the people that do know what's going on and do nothing. That's
Right.
they have the self mindset where, I'm in competition with this person or that person, and it's all about not they know what's going on, but it's like self, service to self. When is it
Right.
going to when is service to self going to stop, and when is service to others going to start? Because without service to others, nothing's going to change.
Right.
And the problem is you have people that are out making movies, that are on TV shows. They know what's going on, but they don't want to risk their behind to get out and educate the masses. It's the
Right.
service of self. I don't want to lose my wife. I don't want to lose my job. I don't want to lose this little bit of comfort that I have. But when you look up, you see the chemtrails. You're already losing. The game's
Right.
over. You know what I'm saying? The game is set. The war, the spiritual war is here.
Yeah.
And,
or think about the people who, the people who will take sponsorship money from a company like Monsanto.
Oh yeah, they're the worst. Exactly.
And then they justify it like, well, you know what, it's money, so I can do good things with. And it's like, well, no, you're compromising a value. They're poisoning you, and you're going to take their money and then
Right.
go out and say good things about them because they gave you money. What good does that do to the planet? It's too many of these things that, like you said, people are so consumed with their own self-interest that they forget about the whole. And that's what we need to get away from. We need to get more of that selflessness of what's best for all
Right.
of us rather than for me.
I agree 100%. It's like you're literally, poisoning the planet. You're poisoning humanity, and you're taking money. And I think
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of collecting money doing what I do. I don't believe that. To each their own, whatever. Anything I do, I pay out of pocket for. And trust me, I'm going to play budget, but I pay out of pocket, and I believe that this is my dream, and I should, if I want to make my dream a reality, it should cost me. And if you do, and if you do get paid for what you do, make sure that you're giving something back. Maybe you're making a video, maybe you're selling DVDs, maybe you're having a lecture. To give something. I don't, and that's where the whole service to others and service to self. So much
Right.
service to self going on.
So much, and it seems that the lesson is to get out of that, to learn how to give, to be selfless.
Mm-hmm.
But we're stuck in that selfish phase, which all seems to be tied around fear. And if you're not selfish and looking out for yourself, then you're not going to have enough.
Well, see, Poet, again, that's to keep us on a low vibrational, speed. And that's what we were talking about earlier, about
Right.
what these beings want to do. They want to create that service to self. They want to create the competition. This is why, if you look at football stadiums, and you look at hockey stadiums, and you look back when the Colosseums were built with the gladiators, it's the same thing.
Right.
Think about it this way, viewers. You have thousands of football players competing against each other. Who's going to hold up the trophy at the end? Who's going to make the playoffs? All this negative energy is stuck in this Coliseum, in this football stadium. Okay? Now, these negative beings, could be owners of football stadiums. You've even seen Bush go to football stadiums and sit there. They soak it up. It's all about energy.
Right.
These negative beings soak up the energy. And the reason that, if you look at the media, why aren't the media talking? The service to self attitude. Why is this? Why is that? Well, it's because that's the way we've all been raised. This is a prison planet, and the people that are going to make it are going to be the people that wake up the masses in love vibration. This is a game, and it's a spiritual war, but it's also a game, because who's going to make it? Who's not going to make it? I hate to say it's exciting times to live in, but sometimes I feel that way, because it's sad times on one hand to think about how many people are being abducted and, tortured and taking their free will away, and what's going on with Monsanto, what's going on with the greed, this and this and this. But the exciting part is that I enjoy what I do. I really enjoy getting out there and doing it. It's kind of like,
Right.
you know, and I think that if we're all serious about this, see, we can do one or two things, right? We can say, well, we're going to be very serious and serious and serious. I'm going to change the world and be serious. Enjoy what you do. Have fun doing it, or you're going to go completely insane. Because it's that deep, you know what I mean? There's so much going on that they're hitting us with right now on a negative level that you would completely go insane if you didn't take a break and enjoy it and interact with people and hug people, and that's what we have to do.
Exactly, because it does get too overwhelming.
Oh,
and
yes. Yeah, we talk about hybrids, and I see hybrids, and I do this and I do that. But also, you know, I'm the type of person where I can go sit in a bar, have a couple of drinks, and just have fun. We have to mix the two, I think. We have to have a time to take a break from everything. Because with the knowledge that we know, with literally the populations being depopulated, a lot of nasty stuff's going on. Hybrids are trying to take over. Dimensional shifts. I mean, it's so much at once. You have to have an outlet. You have to.
Right. And a sense of humor.
Exactly. You know, and if you don't have that, well, good luck to you. You're something special. If you don't have that, you can continue to do what you do. But you know, I went to an '80s night last night at the bar.
Mm-hmm.
Sat, had a couple drinks, listened to some good music, had fun. Here I am on the show, bringing truth. That's what it's all about.
Right. There's got to be that outlet, you know. Otherwise, you're right. There's too much heaviness in the world, and I think our heads will explode if we just absorb it. Because it's just like how much negativity and fear can be projected out into the world before, you know, a person really messes them up.
That's true, and the whole sense of humor thing is great. You have to laugh. You know, I've made hybrid jokes. You know, I've made other jokes, but you have to. I mean, so I've sat, and there's different pockets in Philadelphia where hybrids are. You know, and then I would sit in a bar and just let my energy flow and talk to people, to the positive ones, and it's the most amazing thing that you can have happen. Because, like I said, I don't believe they're all negative. Some maybe 50-50, but I don't believe, you know, because some of your viewers are going to go, oh, well, he's anti-gray. I'm not anti-gray. The Arcturians are supposed to be like a tall, looking gray species that are love and light. So I'm taking free will. That's what I'm anti. When you take my free will, when you abduct people, when you try to kill our people, that's what I'm anti. If you're about love and light, I don't care what color your skin is. It could be green, it could be blue, it could be orange. I don't care if you have a lizard face, cat face. I don't care. If you come at me with love, I'm going to give you love.
Right on.
Right on, man.
So this has been great, Paul. There's been a lot of great information, and hopefully a lot of listeners will be able to use this information to help them to sort through some of their experiences, because you're not the only one who experiences these kind of things. There's others out there. So, you know, what would you say in like wrapping everything up? Any final thoughts or words or?
Most definitely. I would say, to wrap everything up, a closing note, I would say, stay strong, stay in love vibration, and always, 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 definitely, without a doubt, remember that you are a powerful, beautiful being. And whatever you want your reality to be is what you want to will into existence. One person can make a difference. One person can be the change that we want to see.
Awesome.
You can find me at youtube.com/PrinceTruthChaser, www.PrinceTruthChaser.com. And on Facebook, you would Facebook Prince Truth Chaser. You can either do Prince Truth Chaser or Paul Wesley, either or.
All right, very good. Well, Paul, thank you so much for being here. That was a lot of great information, and really enjoyed our conversation.
Well, thank you. Alien agenda is concerned, and the hybrid agenda.
Okay. You know, I've watched a number of your videos, and the whole love aspect is very awesome, the way in which you share that and you give people hugs and really, you know, spread that love out in the world. That's what we need, and it's great to see that.
Yeah, and I think that's key, because whether it's activism or whether it's educating people that have been abducted, or educating people that have actually seen, you know, UFOs or other beings. That, love, the love vibration is the highest vibration in the universe, and that no matter what happens in the world, no matter what, negative things are going on in the world, that love is key. And I think that it's important to show that. It's important to show human-to-human contact and, and embrace each other in that love vibrational state. Because
right.
Whether any that we give, the truth is that it all starts with love.
Right. So let's go back. All right, this is Josh Poet, First Contact Radio. I am here with Paul Wesley, a.k.a. Prince Truth Chaser, and Paul has a lot of information on a lot of subjects. Today we're going to talk about UFOs and maybe a few other things. So best way to get started is for Paul to tell you who he is in his own words. So, Paul, welcome to the show, and maybe you could share with the audience right off the bat who you are and what it is you do.
Well, first off, thanks for having me on the show, and
you're welcome.
It's a pleasure being here. Yeah, I'm an activist. I would guess you would say lover of the people. I mean, I really, I love the people, and I would say that I'm a firm believer in self-empowerment, and that love is key. And I kind of mix that into my activism, and I also kind of mix that into when I try to educate people about awareness as far as UFOs are concerned, and awareness as far as like the
time has that changed as there's been more experiences that have gone on?
It really has. As I got a little bit older into my teens, I would say that fear kind of. There was one experience when I was taken, and I was purposely put in front of one of the toll vets, and I was told to touch it, and I walked over and I started rubbing its skin, and it was like telepathically I was told to let go of fear. And when I did that, it was probably the most amazing thing that I've ever felt, because I was actually interacting with these beings without being scared, without being scared half to death. And as I got older, I kind of really started researching, and research is key, and I want to make this clear to the viewers that I can say whatever I want on here, and anyone else can say whatever they want, but, take it with a grain of salt what I say, and go out and let's do our own homework and educate ourselves and come up with our own ideas on what we think is truth, depending on what anyone else would say is truth.
Back to the beginning with the UFOs, and when did you first become interested in UFOs, and where did it go from there?
Well, when I first starting, I would say when I was a kid, I was about, say, 6 years old, and abducted myself, and I have been abducted throughout my life, and it pretty much came to the point where I learned through love, self-empowerment, how to break that cycle and say that my is being taken, and it's not going to be taken anymore. And I think that through understanding that self-empowerment is key was a big plus for me, and it's crucial to anyone who gets abducted.
Now, what was your experience like? When did that happen? Can you tell us about that?
Sure. I remember times when, it's pretty much classic with a lot of people who are abducted and taken. You're in your bed and you're awoken, and sometimes people have sweats where they're real sweaty and nervous, but you just know that something's in that room with you, and that's pretty much what happened to me. And you see these creatures. Some are 7 foot tall grays, and some are the lower ones, the worker grays. And you're pretty much lose control over your body. I think they have some kind of neurological device that they use on us, so that way we really can't control the situation. And I was at a young age, I was taken, and pretty much different scenarios from there on.
And when you experienced them in the room, what was the initial feeling that you remember having?
At a young age, I would say fear. The fear, and this is human instinct, is the fear what you don't understand. And my first instinct would definitely be was one of fear.
And then throughout your life,